Hey, what's going on? So today I'm going to be talking about my latest acquisition, which is my Cannondale F-SI. This is a 2020 model year bike. It's actually a women's specific bike. Cannondale calls this their F-SI Women's 2 model. I ended up getting this bike at a Piermont bicycle connection out of New York on an eBay bid. So shipping and everything, all in all, this bike came out to being $1,300, which was an awesome purchase. It's a great bargain. So let me go over the bike front to back. This is not the stock setup. I've changed quite a few things on here, and I'll point out some quirks. So up front, as a lot of you know, I'm a big Magura fan. So I'm running the Magura MT5 up front and an MT4 in the back, and I'll explain why that is, so later. So what happened is got the bike, tried out the Shimano brakes. It originally came with some Shimano 2-piston brakes, front and rear, and I was not impressed with them. Of course, being a Magura person, that is expected to happen. So up front, these are Cannondale grips. They're lock-on grips. They're super comfortable, like even barehanded. They're really tacky. I don't know who makes their grips. I wish I could find out where I could buy more of these, because these are actually really comfortable when you're barehanded. And up front, this is my timing tube. I had a chance to race this bike at a cross-country event yesterday. And it did pretty well. This bike is supposed to be a backup bike to my GT Zaskar Carbon Pro. If I have that bike in for tune-up or something happens for whatever reason, I wanted a bike that I felt pretty confident that it would be a very comparable bike. Like, I'm not sacrificing anything competitively. This bike does weigh 25.8 pounds. It is a little bit hefty. The original weight was lighter because it was running a rigid seat post, and it wasn't running Magura heavy duty brakes at all. And so that was a big one. I did convert this to tubeless. Of course, when I got the bike, it was not tubeless at all. Up front, if you are considering the FSI, one thing you do have to consider is if you're going to run a dropper post, is it's not really meant to have a dropper at all. I know this is going to drive some people nuts. This is not custom. This is drilling through the frame and making a dropper post happen. Drilling through here, you have to be pretty careful, and there's a little bit of extra treatment you got to go through for doing this. So you don't want to drill into this and not not have some form of protection in here. There's a nice adhesive that you can apply in these areas, and so it doesn't, this hole doesn't spider web and crack the whole entire frame. So you can do that. We had a spare grommet, and the bike shop had done this for me. Knowingly, I knew that this will void the warranty. It's a 2020 model year bike. This limited lifetime usually means 5 years. So I mean, for $1,300, I'm willing to take the risk, because there's no way in hell I'm running a rigid seat post on this bike. So there's that reason. So if you're gonna run a dropper post, and you're gonna have to find a way to you can run it external, but if you do, you're gonna be running a zip tie. It won't be as clean, but you'll probably be able to not void your warranty doing that. So the one thing you do have to pay attention to is you're gonna have to run this dropper lever configuration, and the reason is because of this. This is for the lefty fork. This is the lefty. This is a 100mm travel lefty fork, or Lefty Ocho. It runs a Lefty 60 front hub, and I'll show you a video of how to install the front wheel and put it back on. And as you can tell here, it has a little chart. It goes by pounds, kilograms, PSI, and rebound setting. And rebound is here, and your valve is right there. And your sag indicator is right here. And your little ring is over here. So you're gonna match that. Your compression setting is here. And this is a really good fork. Like, honestly, I think it performs just as well as other forks. Like, this actually feels really nice. So it's an inverted fork, maybe that's the reason, but feels pretty darn good. Competing on it felt really supple. And though the one thing is, I took I took an option line, and it's roughly, altogether it's like roughly maybe a 4 or 5 foot drop, and I bottomed this guy out. So just bear in mind, you know, I'm doing it on this kind of structure, and you know, it does, and I'm hitting drops, or I was hitting a pretty good drop on it, you know, and it's a 3-lapper, so I'm hitting that three laps, you know, at least a 4 or 5 foot drop, and it bottomed out. So things to be aware of. You know, I think it's a very nice supple fork. Maybe I should max out the PSI and do that again, see what happens, but this is pretty good. This is a really nice, it's a cross-country bike basically, so I mean, it is to be expected that, you know, the more aggressive lines are gonna be, you're gonna really push this fork a bit. So up front is the Cannondale handlebar. It's a stock handlebar. It's like a roughly about a 7-degree, I want to say it's a pretty good sweep. It's a 7-degree sweep. It's 720 millimeters wide. The handlebar and the stem clamp diameter are at 31.8. This is a thread. This is even though this is a Lefty Ocho, this is a standard, you know, tapered headset or head tube that you're gonna find on a lot of contemporary bikes. So there's nothing proprietary about it, like the old school Cannondale, where, you know, it would be like a real huge one. I forget if it was like 1 1/4 all the way up or something funky. But anyway, like, you could not run a 1 1/8 stem up here at all. Like, you had to get theirs, or, you know, just kind of an odd, what we call an odd size. So it is a tapered head tube. So it's 1 1/8 down, and it tapers down too, and which is nice. I think I'm going to replace this with a Pulse boxcar stem in purple, maybe polished, something. It's, you know, just to match the bike. Kind of, I love Paul components. They're a great they're a great company. They make quality stuff. And then here, this is the Sram NX 1x12 rear shifter. It's, I mean, I haven't had any issues with it so far, but, you know, I mean, I just got the bike recently, like roughly about maybe 2-3 weeks ago. And here's an FSA water ball cage, nothing special here. Here, in fact, if you need to tighten this, there's no seat tube collar, so you're gonna have to take your hex key, and I think it's a 4, and there's this little wedge piece that, as you're threading it, it pushes this way. It pushes like, it actually pushes this way, and it'll push against this your seat post. Make sure that you have the proper paste. If you're gonna run a carbon seat post, carbon paste, you know, obviously if you're running a dropper or grease, things like that, because what's going to happen is, it's if you don't have this wedged in really well, this is going to sag, and it sags actually easier than a seat post collar, in my opinion. So just to be aware of that. I think the nice part though is it seems it's pretty difficult to over tighten that bolt out of the design, but it is a little bit funky. And if you're ever servicing this, the one thing you got to do is, if you remove the seat post, do not thread this out all the way. Have a little bit in, because this little metal piece, this little metal wedge, it's so small, and the way the seat tube is dipped here, because this is where that wedge sits, it will fall out, and then it's going to be stuck in here. And I could imagine it's a pain. So just be careful about, it is a tricky bit. I don't know how easy it is to get out of a seat tube, but it's one of those pieces that it looks like it'd be a nightmare. and so things to be aware of. The seat tube diameter here is at 27.2. So and this seat post, this is a suspension dropper seat post made by P&W. It's a P&W coast dropper, so it has 40 millimeters of travel and or 40 millimeters of forgiveness, and 100 millimeters of height adjustment. You can find these usually at P&W's recycled or refurbished thing for in the ballpark of shipping and everything included. It's going to be somewhere around 150 bucks. Brand new, it's about 200. But it is a great, fantastic seat post. Let me see if I can even demonstrate it. But yeah, you can add a decent amount of PSI here. This is where you charge it, you know, with a basic, simple, standard shock pump. And up front is a Pro Logo saddle. It's their Pro Logo Kappa Evo Pause, which is nice. It's 230. It's a 237 millimeter by 142 millimeter saddle. You know, my sit bones are at 142. Originally this came with a WTB, and I didn't like it. It looked really bulky for such a kind of a sleek looking bike, so that's why I went with the Pro Logo. Plus I run Pro Logo saddles. They're pretty comfortable. You can, I don't know if they're genuine Pro Logo or what, but they seem pretty durable and very comfortable. You can find these on eBay in the United States anyway for about ballpark 35, a minimum 35 bucks, and if you're going on retailers, it goes upwards obviously into the over 100. So anyway, I got this off eBay for about 35 bucks. Cockpit rotor wise, now that we're on wheels, these are the WTB STX I-23 TCS wheels, which stands for the tubeless compatible. It's a tubeless compatible system, and the internal width, the I-23, it's a 23 millimeter wide internal diameter on these. I am running tubeless on here. The tires I'm running front and back are the Vittoria Mezcal's 29 by 2.25 graphene 2.0 XC race tires. I ended up buying these out of Bike Tires Direct out of Portland, Oregon. They were rough. I got them on sale for like about 60 bucks a piece. So, and because I live in Washington State, you know, they ship them, and they're really good about shipping. I got these almost like within, I want to say 2 days. So it was real nice. I had these tires immediately. And up front, I'm not running a tire liner. In the back, I'm running a Vittoria XC light tire liner in the back, just because one of the issues that I do have with running tubeless for my weight and the style of riding I do is burping tires. So ever since I've been running tire liners or a rear tire liner, I've not had the burping issue, so it's been really nice. Rotors are the stock, what came with the bike. They're the Shimano stock 160 millimeter rotors, front and rear. I'm going to replace them with the Storm or the Magura Storm rotors in a 6-bolt configuration, front and back. They're really cool. I think they're really good. I think these are fine rotors once you bed them in. It's just that I prefer to have the Magura stuff, you know, just to match. Here, this bike does run press fit. You know, you are getting a PF30, but here this runs a Sram Dub 6K, and on a 170 millimeter crank. And here, these are the Truvative Stylo cranks. And the chainring here is, of course, you know, it's on the Eagle system. It's a really nice 32 tooth. This is a great climbing bike, so stay tuned for, I'm gonna do a part 2 where I actually ride this bike and tell you the feel of it. And you know, and it's mated to a Sram 12-speed cassette. It's an NX cassette. So back here, this is a Formula hub, and this is a WTB STX I-23 as like I-23 TCS rear wheel. And on this 1x12, you know, the only thing that there's a couple drawbacks. One, it's Sram NX cassette. if anybody's had to work on these, I hate these cassettes with a passion, but I'm just going to use it until I need to replace it. But then I may have to replace the whole entire wheel set. I don't only know, because the Sram NX cassettes are made so you can, if you're running you're running what is it, an HG driver, you can mate it to a Shimano HG driver. So this means this is not compatible with Sram XDR stuff or XD drivers at all. So if you're gonna upgrade your wheel set and you're gonna run Sram XD or XDR, you're going to have to replace your wheel set or your rear wheel, and this gets into a whole nother mess too. So back here, this is like, you can't tell, and you'll see in the other clip that I'm gonna put. These are 2.24 or these are 2.25 wide tires. I don't know if you could really run anything wider. Like, I think a 2.35 would be really pushing it. The one unique part about this Cannondale F-SI is it runs the AI system, which is their asymmetric system. The wheels are the rear wheels are dished 6 millimeters offset. So what that means is if you put a regular wheel in here, which you'll see in the video, that 6 millimeters that it goes this way is now, when you put a regular boost wheel, it's gonna be right. You can't even put a finger in here, and I'll demonstrate that in the clip coming up. And so whenever you're getting custom wheels built, there's two things you have to note. One is you have to make sure you let them know, remember that you need a Lefty 6 if you're running this particular bike. And then the way you'll know is on the hub, it says Lefty 60. You're gonna have to tell them you need a Lefty 60 hub, like compatible hub. So Onyx makes one, Chris King makes one, if you're gonna get a special wheel set or a nice wheel set. And you also need an AI, you have a Cannondale F-SI with a 6 millimeter offset. There's also a 3 millimeter offset, but on this particular bike it is a 6 millimeter offset. Not every single wheel builder makes a Cannondale friendly or compatible wheel set. So you have to ask ahead of time before you order, hey, I'd like to buy, you know, this wheel set, or get a custom wheel set built. Can you do it for a Cannondale with a 6 millimeter AI with a 6 millimeter offset? And most of them that are experienced will know what you're talking about. So if they don't, then maybe you should look for another wheel builder that's aware of Cannondale's funky, kind of interesting rear wheel system. They say it helps with the chain line, and I don't only know, but I will say this is a very smooth shifting bike, given that it is a brand new drivetrain. But it is really, like, it feels very nice and direct. Not to say that my Zaskar Carbon Pro isn't. I think between the two, the Zaskar Carbon Pro and this bike, I think this is a faster hill climber, but I think as a whole, the Zaskar is just a better bike. But again, like, I do like this bike a lot. And then here, this is neat. There's a drop out there. This is basically a speed release rear axle, and there's one part that you'll see in the clip coming up where it is a little bit thinner, and it's so you can, once you unthread it on that side, it can drop out on this side, and it's pretty cool. Makes it convenient versus having to pull out the whole entire axle, and you got to place it somewhere. You can keep it in the wheel. It's real nice and clean. Also, kind of one thing you have to be aware of, I tried putting in a Magura MT5 in the back. It didn't work out. Didn't work out at all. And the reason is the caliper on this MT5 here is too fat, and it will not fit in here at all. The caliper will be almost nearly pressed hard against this part of the frame, and tried to make it work, it won't. And so you have to go with a single piston brake in the back, most likely. So that's why the MT4 is here. And because otherwise with an MT5 I was having to run a really thin pad. Couldn't even, I tried running a really thin pad on one side to offset the adjustment, and it was still getting disc brake rub, and it was pretty bad. So as much as I wanted to have a front and rear matching for brakes, I couldn't do it. So the MT4, this is a pretty good brake. I already tried it out at the race. It does the job fantastic. So you know, it's still a really good brake. You know, I love my MT5 and MT7s, but for MT4s don't seem all that bad. I really like them. Also, what I really like about what Cannondale did is this little checkered pattern. It goes all the way around on the interior side. Just makes it kind of, it's just a kind of cool look to it. So I mean, that's pretty awesome. It's one of my kind of a nice little accent touch, as I call it. So anyway, this is pretty much the whole bike as a whole, and I enjoy it. You're gonna see some clips where I'm in doing my wheel installation up front, how the front wheel comes off and on a Lefty Ocho fork, and how the rear wheel comes off with the speed, you know, the speed release, but also what happens if you put a boost wheel on the back. So that said, if you have any questions after this video, feel free to, you know, shoot them in the comments, no matter how old this video is. I usually am pretty good about giving updates and stuff, and or ask me any questions that you have. But overall, this is a really very cross-country dedicated bike. It feels fast. It is fast. You know, and a lot of you might wonder, like, why I'm riding a Cannondale, and it's because, and not a GT, and it's, you know, there's a couple reasons. One is, you know, I don't know if a lot of you knew, but I was part of the GT coalition team back when it started, so I was a brand ambassador for a while. And then the coalition, GT wanted the coalition team unit ambassadors to be more of an, like, the people in that would be more of an elite racing squad. And so I got moved to another ambassador team they kind of created called GT Nuts. Unfortunately, it happened around COVID, so I really never didn't get the full benefit out of it as much as I want, the full support or anything, because there's no bike racing or anything like that. And you know, when I went to follow up recently, you know, the GTLTS Force was like my last purchase from GT headquarters. You know, I asked if you know, the program is going to go forward. I never got any follow-up or anything like that, so you know, I basically take that as being silently fired. I guess it could be worse. I guess it could be in, you know, like some of the pro athletes that have gotten canceled or whatever, you know, like I think Noga's contract got, you know, I mean, that kind of sucks to just get your contract terminated in the middle of a race season, but I wasn't to that extreme. But at the same time, you know, even if I would have just appreciated it if GT had just told me, look, we're going a different direction, thanks for everything you've done, you know, that's cool. But you know, the getting silent fired kind of sucks. You know, not that I'm a huge person like Skills with Phil or, you know, South Bike Hacks or anything, but it'd be nice to at least, you know, get some acknowledgement of, hey, you know, we did this. Not to, you know, the support with GT's was fabulous. You know, the whole time I was part of it, but now it's kind of, you know, like I feel at liberty that I can just ride whatever the hell I want and not feel bad about it. So you'll see me on Cannondales. You'll see me on, like, right now I'm shopping for a full suspension cross-country bike, because predominantly I do a lot of cross-country stuff now. I will still do trials things, you know, here and there, but predominantly it's just going to be cross-country racing and recreational, like downhill stuff. But that's kind of it. So you might see me on a different brand bike, who knows. I have looked at the Cannondale Scalpel, and you know, and the reason is because I would have compatible wheel sets in case and spare parts, and I kind of know the system. I'm getting familiar with the system. I like that familiarity. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe I'll look at a Norco or Rocky Mountain, who knows. But that is it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the clips, and then the part 2 where I do a ride review on here. and you guys get to see me ride the bike in different settings. So it might be a two-parter where I ride my cross-country course in one video, and then I do kind of my training grounds video. I heard it's overgrown, so I don't know if that will happen because nobody's done trail work out there, and you know, we'll see. But anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for how the system works, and I will see you again soon. All right, bye. Alright, so for taking off the Lefty, a Lefty front wheel, there was this push button here, but unfortunately I broke it. I broke it off. But it still works. So you see this little thing here, it looks like an arrow. It needs to line up with this every time you put before you take off. It's a safety thing. So what you do is, well, you'd push a little button, it'd like hang tight and it would like be depressed. But you take a 5mm and you twist this, and now it's pointed up. What happens is, now the hang on, I gotta hold the camera in this. This comes off as a whole unit, which is nice. Then we go on the other side with our same 5mm key. I should note, the coolest thing is this bike comes with an app, and I'll go over the app thing too with all of you on here as well. So it has a little bike computer. I think it is managed by Garmin, because I did do an update and it looks like Garmin manages that. But anyway, you take a 5mm key, put it in here, and you're going to turn it counterclockwise. It's hard to do these videos when you're kind of your only cameraman. And this slides off, nice and easy. And there you go, ta-da! Like, kind of neat, like how this fork looks. And then to reattach it, same process, just in reverse. Put it back on. You're gonna thread this. You know, it's cool. Onyx makes a, and I know Chris King does too, but Onyx makes a hub for a Lefty. And this is a Lefty 60. I guess there are other ones, like there's a Lefty 30 and etc. And but this is a Lefty 60 front hub. The rear hub is a Formula hub, and these are I forget if this is like the 28 or 32 hole spoke, but I guess it doesn't matter too much. But anyway, when you reattach this, gonna make sure it obviously, you know, goes in with your rotor. Man, hard to be a one-person cameraman. Gotta like drop the key. And pops into place. Then you're gonna take your thing, your 5mm key, and turn this. And it's not, and it will stop. Like, you don't have to. And make sure the arrow is facing the lock. The only downside is, yeah, then sometimes you have to readjust your brake as a result. So hopefully you don't have to do this too much. Hopefully you're running tubeless. You don't get really any flats you got to deal with. I'm running tubeless on these. These are the Vittoria Mezcal. These are not the stock tires that they came with. They came with Schwabies, but my favorite tire are the Vittoria Mezcals. These are Vittoria Mezcals in a 29 by 2.25. With their graphene 2.0 compound. I got these from Discount Bike Tire or something. The website out in or the company, the shop out of Portland, Oregon, and they have pretty good deals on bike tires. Plus, they have their little point system, and it's a really nice, generous point system in my opinion. And I really like them. So, and you know, shipping to Seattle gets here like the next day almost, so it's a really nice plus. But yeah, I run a 2.25. I think if you wanted to run anything wider, like a 2.2 or 2.35, you'd be a little bit pressed. As you can tell, like I'm putting my finger right here, and it's really tight. So I think if 2.25 is kind of your safest bet. I think if you go 2.35, you're really gonna be getting yourself into trouble, especially if this wheel has any amount of flex where you're gonna get that tire rub. So I think 2.25 is the way to go on the back end. Maybe you can run a 2.35 up front. Obviously you're gonna have room because it's not, you only got, you know, one stanchion to deal with, but there's that. Now let me get my tripod and I'll show you how to take off the rear wheel, and we'll see what happens when you put a regular boost wheel on. So hang tight. All right, now we're just gonna take off the rear wheel and show you how that works. Of note, this is a speed release rear axle, and I think the reason they do that is, and let me show you there. As you can tell, like, pretty nice system. Once you move it out, it drops in. So that's tight. So we're running a non-boost wheel on here, and you can see where the AI offset is affected. So remember last time, let me take off my glove here and show you folks, but remember saying, well, you can't get it wider than a 2.35. Now I can put like my thumb through there, but check this out. I can't even put my pinky through there at all, and check that out. It's really stupid tight in there. So, and you know, with these spinner teeth, they have a little bit of flex for compliance, and this would not jive with it. Like if that wheel comes out of true, that's not going to be really enjoyable. So they do, so you can see how that little bit of a, wow, I can even see it through here, but I don't know if you folks can, just that difference. But obviously it looks like it almost worked, but it doesn't. Well, it's not ideal. And I think normally I would risk certain things, but this is just, look at, gosh, I can't barely put my, it's just, that's terrible. But anyway, yeah, that is dealing with the AI system. So it is a 6mm dish and or 6mm offset. So whenever you're getting, if you have an FSI, you're thinking about getting an FSI, and you're planning to run a Lefty Ocho fork, and with it, you have to get a custom wheel set. You have to get hub that will be compatible with the Lefty Ocho, and at the same time a wheel set, and you have to let them know that you have a Cannondale AI system, because they'll ask you if it's a 3mm offset or 6mm offset. Most shops that are experienced with making wheel sets for Cannondale mountain bikes. So make sure you have that information. Not a lot of shops do. Unfortunately, I wanted to run Spinergy on them. Spinergy will do it for the back end, but they won't do it for the rear. And I just love how compliant these wheels are, but it's just difficult, you know, to deal with. It's unfortunate. Maybe still trying to sort that out, but Light Bicycle has offered to make a nice custom wheel set, and so maybe I'll try them, and specifically for this bike, and I'll just have to get Spinergies for a different mountain bike of mine, probably another Zascar. But that is it for part 1 of the Cannondale F-SI. I will do an on-ride review in a part 2, but if you have any questions about this bike, regardless of how old this video is or something, you know, I'm more than happy to follow up, like, hey, how's the bike holding up? Did you have any issues? Blah, blah, blah. I'm more than happy to answer that, because, you know, I think a lot of you might even be surprised I'm on a Cannondale. Like, I've always been a GT person, and, you know, what happened, you know, unbeknownst to a lot of people, is I was ambassador for GT for quite a while for their GT Coalition group, and then, you know, they wanted to turn that into an elite racers thing, and obviously I'm not an elite racer. Just a guy on YouTube doing amateur beer league bike races. So they were kind enough to move me to GT Nuts program, which is like their ambassador. Like you're not really you're not basically an elite athlete, but you rep the brand. And anyway, you know, recently there have been some personnel changes. I had asked what's going to happen with the program, if I'm even still representing or repping for them, and I never got a reply back, and it's been a lot of months now. So honestly, what I'm doing is, I mean, I'm taking it as I got silently fired, unless they really reached out and said, hey, you didn't get silently fired, we're just doing this other stuff. But it's been over half a year now, and I'm moving on. But anyway, that is it. You know, I'm shopping around for a full suspension cross-country mountain bike too. I'm not gonna get Santa Cruz. Everybody has one. That's kind of boring and unoriginal. Maybe I'll get a Cannondale Scalpel mountain bike, because I really liked how those felt, and I'd already have a wheel set for it, you know, once I get a wheel set for this. So there you have it. And plus I test rode one, really liked it. I'm not repping Cannondale, by the way. I just liked how the bike felt. I think my other option I'd entertain is maybe I get a Rocky Mountain Element, or you know, something, because GT does not do cross-country mountain bikes. I don't know if you guys know that, based on the fact that they don't sell the Zascar Carbon Pro or any of the Zascar Carbon bikes here in the United States. It's too bad. And they don't make anything cross-country. That's not their bread and butter. It's trail and downhill and enduro bikes. So that's why I have this bike. It's a backup, so if anything happens to my Zascar Carbon Pro, I have this bike, because I'm not taking another GT alloy bike. They do not feel as good as the carbon bikes. It just drives me crazy that GT won't sell the bike here. They sell it everywhere else. But anyway, that is it. That's my rant too. But if you have, stay tuned for part 2, where I actually ride this bike, and I'll around SeaTac and tapeworm, and I'll give you my reviews on that. All right, talk to you later. Bye.